woke up this morning feeling fine. There's something special on my mind. Last night I met a new girl in the neighborhood. Whoa, yeah. Something tells me I'm into something good.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of The GOAT. Looking back to the Lille game on Thursday and also head to West Ham tomorrow with a bit on ticket prices in between. The game itself, I thought the first half, to be honest, I was a bit worried because at half time, you know, there's still a goal in it. They barely laid a glove on us, but they had the best chance. I mean, we were in the lower halt, and that guy with the header really should have done better. Really, from that position, should have scored, and it could have been a completely different outlook on the game. I think everyone was worried as to what would happen if Lille scored first, obviously, and that was a massive chance. We didn't really test the keeper until the corner late on. And I just felt that it was just going to take one quick attack because we seemed to be happy to sit back quite a few times. We watched Tammy sort of 15 yards inside his own half and everyone else behind him. They came out the second half. And again, Lille were back on the attack, won a corner. And it was like, well, we seem to be inviting pressure. And at some point, over sort of 3 hours of football, surely it's gonna break. And from the free kick again, a little bit worried. It was quite an easy sort of routine stop for Emi. But from that point on, he's precision passed a long ball out towards Sancho, who's took the defender on, waited, seen John McGinn coming down the middle, just laid it across nicely for him, and a really calm, a real sort of calm, educated finish from John McGinn. There was no slashing at it, no panic. It was just, in fact, I have to be honest, I was probably cheering the goal before it already went in. I think I was that confident, and that confidence was well placed. I think after that, maybe Lille sort of lost a bit of belief. Obviously, they had the ball in the net from Giroud, but that was offside. It was amazing how lackluster the celebration was for the second goal when you think about it, because it killed the game. But I think everybody just assumed Ollie Watkins was offside because we were all looking one way and he was well in front of the last defender, but on that side, and we hadn't noticed the straggler, the Lille straggler on the other side. He was playing him on, still close, but onside. So it was a bit of a shame people didn't really get to celebrate that goal as much. I think everyone just assumed it was going to get chalked off. I think Ollie looked better as an impact sub. I don't think Tammy had a great start, by the way. In the first couple of minutes, he chased after a sort of lost cause and won the ball back, but it never quite got going for him, for one reason or another. And to be fair to Ollie, he did well. I think he's, at the moment, it's an ideal role for him to come on against a tired defence, and start to stretch him, because he had a few chances. And I think we did well. Lille, again, I mentioned last time, they're not the same team they were 2 years ago, but we're in bad form as well. So all in all, I think it was a really good European win. To go away and win and to sort of routinely finish them off at home is absolutely perfect. Again, regarding the crowd, so it was 37,500, I think. Obviously, Lille were probably 1,000 short of what their allocation could have been. They would have been offered just over 2,000. I think 2,100 to be exact. And they brought about 1,000, pretty similar to what they bought last time. I think that's as high as their sort of away travel's going to go. Another one from me, again, this thing, and I'll come on to it in a minute about the ticket prices, but it's like, we need the fans to get the place rocking. And again, the build up, and I'm going to keep banging on about this, the build up to that was absolutely fucking awful. I think we were in about 20 minutes beforehand, and it's just adverts played at high volume. It's literally just adverts. So people have just stood there talking to each other. There's no build up to this at all. It's not like there's a big event coming up that we want you to be really engrossed in and invigorated by. It's just fucking adverts. And I think it got to about 10 minutes beforehand, they put Hi Ho Silver Lining on. And again, that finishes now. Whether you like that song or not, it does engage the crowd. If nothing else, it engages the crowd. And then after that, they put some shit music on again, and everything just dies. The whole thing just dies until the teams come out. They get it wrong week after week after week. And it's fucking terrible. I know we're not the only club with issues. I've seen Palace as one team on about this, and they've actually written to the club a few times, and the club have said, no, we're not going to do what you want. We're just going to play our music that we pick in adverts, which they think is crap. But yeah, it was terrible. There was like, at one point I looked up and it was 15 minutes, and they're saying, this is a big event. We need you all behind us. This is massive. Want the place rocking. And we're playing adverts at full volume. It's all fucking wrong. And don't tell me it's it's like a UEFA directive or whatever, because it doesn't seem to be when we go to other grounds. It really isn't. But yeah, that leads me on to, as soon as the game finished, they then decided, they obviously had all the ticket prices for the home game ready. They were going to publish them straight away, and within that was an increase on the cost of the tickets for the round of 16 game. I'm not surprised anymore, quite frankly. I'm as fucking fed up and disgusted of it as anybody else is. It's absolutely sod all to do with, PSR, whatever it is. People saying, well, if you want to buy good players, well, £10 makes absolutely fuck all difference. Absolutely no difference at all. I think it's a terrible look. You got that Damien guy constantly go, oh, we need you, we really need you, we need to be together and all this sort of thing. And then it's like, right, here's the next round of tickets, and they're going up, by the way. After a game we couldn't sell out. We had 37,500. 1,000 of that would be down to the away fans, but we were a good few thousand short, because a lot of people thought that's way too high. I can't remember if I mentioned this last time. When I was looking at some of the seats available, the corporate ones were 193 quid. And like, I looked up at that area and they were empty. It was like, who the fuck is going to spend that watching Villa play Lille? Unless you're incredibly rich. No normal fan is. And again, they'll moan about the atmosphere, but people spending £193 on a ticket aren't going to be getting into the game the same way your normal working class fan who might have paid, for instance, 30 quid. I know that the prices of this game weren't 30 quid, but if you look back to Newcastle, that was a good atmosphere, and it was £25 a pop. But the area again I've mentioned opposite the away fans, bits of that empty. It's absolutely fucking scandalous. They've got the cheek to keep saying, oh, we need you, and then we're going to milk you as well though. We need you, but we're going to fucking milk you dry. So I dread to think, Christ, if we get past Bologna, what the semi-final might be. Interesting that you can buy tickets for the final for 40 quid, which sort of puts that into a bit of perspective. But I think it's a dreadful look. I'm not surprised by it at all. They've been milking us since the minute we got in the Champions League. Those prices were an absolute disgrace. And like I've heard said, we got in the Champions League. We've been milking fans for 2 or 3 years, but who have we bought that was any good? Who have we bought? It's a very valid point. And then, I've just seen, I've got no 100% fact on this, but it could be that there's some sort of corporate flight going to the away game in Bologna, which is probably no doubt going to mean a cutting into the allocation of tickets. Now, I've been looking at other teams' allocations. Apparently, the away end holds about 2,500, but it really just depends on who's going and what they decide that they're going to give, if there's any restrictions. It looks like Celtic got 1,800. But is it 1,800 minus a few hundred for the corporates who are going to get in first? I don't know. This is what happened with Paris. People who deserve those tickets missed out because corporates had them. It just seems like the minute there's a smell of success, they get to the first. They get to the front of the queue. And again, the fans who've been to these games miss out. So we'll wait and see. It'll probably take Villa another fucking week to put those tickets on sale anyway. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we're going to hold fire before making our travel plans until we definitely have those tickets in hand. But yeah, really poor luck to increase the ticket prices. You got half the club trying to make things happen and trying to get some sort of cohesion between the team and fans, which has been hard recently with players having a pop at us. And then you've got another half just absolutely milking us. And I wonder why there's people who are really pissed off and people who won't go to that game. So yeah, West Ham tomorrow. Obviously, we've had a great big help today with Brighton beating Liverpool. I didn't see it, just seen the result, but a real chance. Not going to be easy. Yeah, West Ham have been far better over the last few weeks. When they lost at Wolves, it seemed like that was probably it for them. Yeah, they're in a much better position, so it's not going to be easy, and we're really going to have to be ready for them and up for it. Because if we're not, we will come a cropper. Be interesting to watch Bowen. I know there's been a few links with him possibly coming to Villa, but I don't know. If we're looking at reducing the age of the squad slightly, I think he's 29. So I don't know. There was a lad in Germany I watched because I watch the German football highlights every week. Dennis Undahl, I think he plays for Stuttgart, and he's got something like 16 and 22, and but he's 29. Yeah, the more I watch him, I think, God, he's so good. He'd be really good for us. But are they going to pay a big fee for a 29-year-old? I don't know. You'd wonder what the role is with Tammy as well. Are they going to look to move Ollie on in the summer, and Tammy's going to be a focal point, and then you're going to have a backup to him? They've got a lot to do in the summer. I don't think there'll be a massive overhaul, but I think there's going to be 3 or 4 of what we might consider our first team going. It's whether, after the recruitment of the last sort of 18 months, whether you really have faith that we're going to get this right in terms of the players we bring in. It's all very well, when people say, well, if you sell Rodgers for 100 million, then, well, yeah, but are you going to trust and have faith after what we've done, especially in the summer? The only player we spent any money on, we'd got rid of by the January transfer window because it had gone that wrong. I don't know. I'd like to think, there's the new guy there now instead of Monchi, but they've got a big job on their hands. The only thing I would say is it's going to be a lot harder if Unai isn't there, because then there's going to be a massive shake-up of obviously all that backroom staff would go. It's going to be a whole new set of people coming in. It will be turmoil if he goes. So I really hope that isn't the case. So yeah, West Ham tomorrow. But yeah, really important that we got through that Lille game. At least we've got that quarterfinal to look forward to. So April the 9th is the away game. So important, the fact that Roma and Lyon both went out was absolutely fantastic. When you look at that final 8 and you think, God, that is set up for us now. We've got such a good chance of winning. I think everyone was concerned that Lyon have been on a massive run, especially in the French league, of unbeaten games, that we were probably going to meet them in the final if we got that far, of course. And then the next game was more than likely going to be Roma, because everyone just assumed, I think, that Roma were probably going to be stronger than Bologna. They got a decent result, got the draw in Bologna. They're taking them back to Rome, so you sort of think maybe naturally they're going to finish them off there. So to hear that, Bologna were 3-1 up, then it had gone to 3-3, and then you assume Roma are going to come back and probably beat them. But they've had a man sent off, and Bologna have sort of finished them off in extra time. So obviously, Bologna have put five goals past Roma in 2 games. So absolutely not an easy game at all. But you look at that draw. Again, you're always thinking, I really hope Porto beat Forest, because if we got Forest in the semis, if we got that far, that would be so difficult, because it would be like 2 Premier League games, and there probably wouldn't be that much in it. I'd expect us to beat Forest, but who knows what could happen with two games against Forest. They've put out almost like a B-side against that Midtjylland team when they're down from the first leg. Actually saw a tweet from a Forest fan saying, "What an absolute disgrace to all these fans who've come out to Denmark to pick a team like that." And they've gone on and won. I know it ended up on penalties, but they were 2-0 up, so they were clearly doing well. But yeah, I love being in Europe. I love the away days in particular, but it's just great playing different teams, going to different places, and I'm glad we're still in it. But we've got to make sure now that we get ourselves past Bologna with Yuri back in training. Whether he'll feature tomorrow against West Ham, I would imagine definitely not a starter. Potentially, maybe off the bench for 20 minutes, but it sounds like even Belgium have agreed to Unai that he isn't to do too much when he's out with them. International friendlies do my fucking head in. The thought of him going out there after we've waited all this time for him to come back and then he does something is just fucking beyond even thinking about. So, hopefully super careful with him. If he could get 15, 20 minutes tomorrow, I think it'd be good in terms of sort of morale of the crowd as well. Hopefully if we were like a couple of goals up and he came on, I think atmosphere-wise, that would be great. But, slowly. And then, by the time, that next European game comes around, he should be sort of ready to go against Bologna away. So we'd be in better shape then with him and John McGinn back in there. We'd be in a lot better shape. And just one thing from the home game was it's a game of opinions. Obviously, I was really surprised at the amount of shit that Douglas Luiz got. We must have been watching a different game. The amount of times he was nipping in, taking a ball off the feet of an opponent, laying it off. That one long ball, one of the attempts we had in the second half that he pinged out wide. I thought he did all right. Again, he's playing with Onana. Onana's playing within himself. I mean, he was very, very average, Onana, against Lille at home. Lille away was much better, and that coincided with the team playing better. But reverted to type, very sort of within himself. And then to me, that's hard, really hard for Douglas Luiz to come in and dominate that midfield when his sort of midfield partner next to him isn't really doing that much. But I thought he played okay, and I was amazed to see some of the shit he was getting. And but there you go. Yeah, we'll watch a different game. So anyway, so on to West Ham tomorrow. But I'm so pleased we're still in Europe. That's the main thing. And fingers crossed we can get a good result and open up the gap from us to Liverpool and Chelsea. All the best up the Villa.